And welcome everyone. On behalf of the Embassy of Switzerland in the United States, I want to welcome you to our July edition of the monthly Swiss Film Club. My name is Emily Buss and I work in the public diplomacy section at the Embassy. This film club was started during this time when we are unable to gather in cinemas to create moments of shared viewership and to continue introducing American audiences to excellent Swiss films like the one we saw this month, and to support film artists in Switzerland in sharing their work. We were happy to see that there was so much interest in this film, Suddenly Homesick, and I'm delighted to be joined today by the director of this film, Yu Hao, from the Appenzell region of Switzerland, which we saw depicted so beautifully in the film. Yu Hao lived in China until 2005, where she worked as a reporter, a director, producer, and editor for many different television stations. She studied media, film production, and English. And from 2001 to 2003, she was the director of her own Saturday night show on Chinese national television. After she relocated to the Swiss Appenzeller land, her professional focus changed. And she'd previously used the camera to stand in the spotlight in front of audiences herself, but she now uses it as a silent companion and a means to approach foreign culture. Not only has Yu Hao produced many documentaries, but she also serves as a curator at the Haus Appenzell in Zurich. This film, Suddenly Homesick, garnered much acclaim, and we look forward to hearing questions from you, the viewers, as well. So if you do have a question over the course of the discussion, please enter them below by clicking Ask a Question at the bottom of your screen. And we'll try to get to as many of them as we can throughout the discussion. But Yu Hao, I'm looking forward to hearing your insight. So I want to go ahead and get started. And I have a basic question for my first question, which is, what made you decide to tell this personal story of your journey to finding the place that you feel at home?
Okay. Actually, how can I say? I never had an opinion of making a decision for making a film like this, but it's a long process, I have to say. And then at the beginning, I just think most of you have seen the film. And by the way, very nice to see you here. I would prefer that we can see face to face, but due to the situation at the moment, it's not so easy for that. I could also understand. And thanks you also for coming, for sharing your time with me, with us. It's really nice. And then about the film, it's like this. I think at that moment, I didn't find any solution. And then if you do not, I couldn't find a way. That's the only solution I could find. That's the only way for going. We have to go back a little bit to the beginning of the film. If you've seen the film, you know that I went to Switzerland in the year 2005. Actually, the first time is in 2002. And then it was with a film team. And then in the year 2005, I went there, fell in love with my husband. In the year 2006, I decided to go to Switzerland, to live here, without knowing a word of German. And then what happened if you are in a country of not knowing the language, not knowing a word? And what happened if you just in a group and everybody's laughing, is joking, is enjoying with each other, and you are just in the middle of them? What are you going to do? Actually, I want to how to say that? I want to also love to join, but it's such a strange feeling. You cannot understand them. How can you laugh? How can you smell? And then thanks to my camera, I have at that time a camera like this. That's a HDV camera, the first camera. And then thanks to the camera, I could stand behind it. And then this kind of embarrassment, I could hide it behind my camera. And I'm no longer feeling embarrassed, and you have something to do. You have something in your hand. And this gives me a certain of a kind of protection. You can also say that. And what happened in the last years, I was nearly crazy about doing the things, about filming. I had my camera all the time. If we go on the mountain for traveling, I just put it in a backpack and carried it. Once we were only we were over 12 kilometers just on the way. But if you like it, you don't feel tired. You don't realize it. You realize it only after it. And then really, and also we met people who were just like a kid at that time, and then 10, 15 years later is grow so big and it's an adult. And also the people we met, some of them are no longer living. There are so many things happened. I would say at that time, in the year of 2006, I did over 60 bands, 6 tapes. That means every week more than one tape. At that time, the tape is about 63 minutes. And then I kept going doing that. In the year 2007, all the same. I just began to learn English at this time in the year 2007. But the way of learning German takes really a lot. It takes time. And I kept going for taking picture, for filming. And then what happened later on is that this is quite interesting. I didn't realize this. The better my German level is, the lesser the tapes I did. I didn't realize this, but you could see in the last few years, I had more than 300 tapes. And at that time, at the very beginning, I never had an idea of making a film. And I just filmed it, and later on I put them in the drawer and throw them away, throw them into the drawer. For me, it's finished. And then Ernst told me, asked me sometime, yeah, why you didn't look at your tapes? Why you just leave them in the drawer? And then I told him, you see, for me, it's just like my diary. There are people, they are writing their diary, they write they write them down. And I did a picture. I take my camera. And if you are writing your diary, do you look at them back every day? Actually, there's another thinking behind. Actually, that's an excuse what I just looked for. At that time, I thought, yeah, I couldn't understand their language, the Appenzeller or the dialect. Why should I look at the tapes? And that's what I did. I just filmed it. For me, it's finished. For me, it's part of the journey, part of the memory. It's just to be kept in the drawer. But one day, if you open the drawer, you see so many tapes. It's just like a big stone on your stomach. You do not know what's going on with this. What shall I do with all these tapes? Just throw them away? That's not a solution. But to make a film, what? A film has to have a story. You have to have a storyline. Who can be the protagonist? And how about the storyline? All this, they're unknown. And what happened is in the year 2012, the governor of Appenzeller Inner Country, that's Holland Inauen, and then he told me once, he just talked with me, and he said, look, did you ever think of making a film? And you being a foreigner in Appenzeller land, your feeling to our tradition, your feeling to the life here, how you think about it, about your life? I said exactly no. Without no doubt, no. Because at that time I think, no, I don't want to do it. First, for me, I'm a person without stories. That's what I was thinking quite often. And that's one thing. And the second thing, I don't want to be in the center. I want to keep a certain distance. If you are having a certain distance, then it's better than you are in a certain way. It's a kind of security you are giving yourself, I think. And then I don't want to let the public know about who I am, what I'm doing. That's not important. Important is I'm living here, I'm having my life, right? But then I start thinking, and thanks to Wole Oude, that's a photograph in the film you also seen. he gave us the idea, because at that time I thought, yeah, maybe I will try to find a boy or a girl, or two young people in the age of 13 or 14. It's quite an interesting age. At this age, what happened outside, you can then just give a reaction, and it could be a mirror of our society. That's the idea. And then I did this. I thought, yeah, it should be somebody, maybe a boy or a girl who lives on the Alps in Switzerland. And then Ole Auto gave me the information about Clois, the small, the cowboy, the
Yeah.
13 years cowboy who lives alone on the Alp. And I was lucky. He also lives in Ornesh, and then we went to see him. He was not at home. His mom was there. We just said, I want to have a look of his life, how he lives, how he alone on the Alps, how he lives, what happened, how it looked like. And then like this, the mom said, yeah, Clois, he has to decide himself. We do not make the decision for him. If he agrees, no problem. If not, then it's no. And then what happened? We have to go to the Alps to try to find him. The first time we couldn't find him. The second time it worked. He was just for the mist, for the cool sheet, he was just cleaning there in the store. And then I just said, we just talk with him, what I'm doing and what's going on. I want to know more a little bit about the life on the Alps. That's the only idea. I didn't, because I didn't have the complete idea of the film. And then he was very introverted. It's not so open. I could feel he is not so eager to do that. And what happened? I said, okay, I will bring you once the tapes I did, some scenes in order to show you how it looked like. And so like this, next time I brought it to him and showed him some pictures. One of the picture is a small Cloise. You see in the film, the small Cloise, the mummies, and one without mask, and is wearing the leaves from the tree and with the cow horn. And then as he saw this, he just said, "Oh, that's me. That's me." At the first time since I was when I was for Sylvester Cloise, I went there. That's the first time at the age of 5. That was at the end of 2005, the first time for me to see Sylvester Cloise, and then I could do the picture of him, and so due to this, I got a key to open the door, and I could follow him. But during this time, I realized soon, sometimes imagination is all the time, not all the time the same, like what's the reality, what's in your life happened. Actually, what I expected from him, would there be a story behind? Would there be a conflict between him and his family or his colleagues? No, I actually, it won't work. I thought, why he alone, just in the age of 13, went to the Alp alone is unimaginable for me at that time. And then the story, I could feel, no, this won't work. This is one thing. The second thing, sometimes life is actually not so complicated like what you think about it. Clois, he know exactly what he wants, as since he was thinking, he can think or not. And then the second thing, I think for all of us, for the people here, actually, you are your own protagonist in your life, not the other person. He doesn't have the direct connection to my pictures, to my scenes, what I filmed. That's why this didn't work. And what happened? In the year 2016, I just took 1 year time. Every morning I stood up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just reviewed all the tapes I've done. on done from 5 o'clock till 7 to 7:30.
Oh.
It's a long time, I have to say. 1 year time, and after finishing reviewing all the tapes, I made a decision, me myself, to as the protagonist to be in the film. But at this time, still I have a feeling I can be the storyline, but not go further, not too deep inside. I can try to connect different things. That was the idea. And then I wrote the script. And due to this script, in the year 2018, we did the filming, because I was all the time filming. I'm not in the picture. The only one we had is at the very beginning in the year 2005. And so we did this. What happened then? Uh, in the year 2018, we did the filming in China and also then in Switzerland. That's in May. And then in July or June, with all the tapes, and I just did rough cut with the rough cut, and also the tapes we've done. I went to the cutter, Fabian Kaiser. He helped me a lot. And then during the post-production, I realized that it's not so easy. The way what I was thinking, it won't work. It didn't move me. If a film, if you look something, it cannot move you yourself, how can you move others? You have to go further, you have to go deeper. It's a long process. It's not a comfortable one, but you have to go through it. But at the end, I have to say, I'm happy that I chose this way.
Yeah. I think you made some excellent choices. That can't have been easy to select which pieces of all of that film to use, but I think it came together beautifully. For audiences who might not be familiar with Appenzell, especially American audiences, can you talk about what makes the region special for you and how it's different from other parts of Switzerland? And also how you think your experience of coming to live in Switzerland would have been different in another part of the country.
Ah, okay. I think I do not know if some of you is from Appenzell or from Switzerland, or how many of you have already have been to Appenzell. What for me, I have to say is Appenzeller Land is really a wonderful place. It's amazing, and you have to come. And once you are here, and you won't forget it. For me, it's this area is just like a magnet. It drags you. You cannot push it away. It drags you, and you just go further, and you stay. You are here. It's really quite special feeling, I have to say. But I think this kind of special feeling, not me, lots of other people, they also have it. I remember the first time I was in Switzerland, that was 2002. And then we were in the plane. The stewardess asked us where were we going to visit. I said, Zurich, Davos, and also Appenzeller Land. And as she heard about Appenzellerland, she said, oh, Appenzell, that's really a very, very special place. And this kept me thinking. And then I was thinking how special it could be, how special it might be. And what I realized in the last years, the people here, you could feel they are proud of what they are having. And also they cherish what they have. And this kind of proudness, and also they take care of the things what they are having. You can see, you can feel through the traditions. They are living traditions here, like the Silvestre or Landsgemeinde. Landsgemeinde is a kind of a democracy. And you see the young people just with a sword in their hand, and they go to the Landsgemeinde Plaza. And the feeling, the proudness they are having, it touches you. And also the feeling with the people, how they are living with their tradition, with the nature. In a certain way, for me, it's a kind of harmony. It's a kind of harmony between them, between the nature, between their tradition. This is quite touching.
That's wonderful. In the film, you say that your role was as a spectator and an observer, and that you encountered the world and it kept moving past you. And I'm wondering what made you start to feel like you were a participant and you really belonged in this society, in this community.
That's a question during the post-production. Quite often I ask myself, yeah, do I belong here? What does it mean to me? Actually, for me, you see the film, the title has the names is Plötzlich Heimweh, Suddenly Homesick. I ask me quite often, what makes me feeling homesick? What happened for me? And what does home or hometown mean to me? I do not know. Emily, also for the audience, what does hometown or the home means to you?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I never asked me before this question. What does it mean to you? Where's your hometown?
Yeah, near Chicago, and yeah, it's interesting to think though because I've spent so much time in Switzerland that, you know, it's where I have my experiences, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I just due to the film, I have to read. I had read 8 books, lots of books, 8 books only about Heimat, about home, hometown. Because I never asked me this question. Before I used to think, yeah, I'm just like a citizen, a world citizen. I can live everywhere in the world. And then I'm even proud of this. Due to this, I'm completely independent. I'm not dependent on a place. That for me is a kind of freedom. But what happened in the last years, and also Heimat, hometown, I just read the books, and most people are telling me home is the place where you are having your family, where you are having your childhood experience, memory, where you are having your colleagues, friends, and whatever. All this I left in China. And then, in a certain way, is China my hometown, not here, Switzerland, right? But I feel really very, very happy. And it's a kind of feeling I never had it before. That's actually the inner peace, what I have. And this, I found it here. And that's for me, in a certain way, auch, you can say that's home or hometown. This is also very important for me. Nowadays, I know more about this answer. It's also clear for me. That's really the place where you have your inner peace. That's also the place where I want to spend my older days here.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And you talked earlier about how it's about changing your mindset of wanting to belong. So you're not just letting things happen to you, but you're changing the way that you think and approach your sense of belonging and Heimat and home.
Yeah, that's right. You see, at the beginning, this, we have to go back a little bit to the post-production. At that time, due to this question, I have to ask me, yeah, what does the Heimat or the home means to me, and where do I belong? Before quite often I think I'm a person. Um, I'm not so sensitive about looking for something. I'm not searching. I'm not searching for a certain feeling. I just let it come and let it go. That's actually me. And then I think what happened is no longer belong to you. And what's in the future is also not belong to me. We cannot influence anything. Only the moment, at the moment, what we are now, right now, it belongs to us. And for me, all the time, I'm thinking, not looking backwards, not looking forwards, just live at the present, at now, at this time. And that's also my way of living in the last years. But due to the film, I have to look back. I have to look back. I have to think about the reason. I have to know what relationship, what happened with me, what happened with the people. And then this made me really very, very sad, I have to say. So sad in my life. I never had, at the end I thought, oh, I never arrived. Ik ben überhaupt niet aangekomen. Huh? I have this feeling. You never arrived. What does this mean? Then where you belong. And then I remember there's a book. It's from NZZ, New Zurich Zeitung newspaper. And then it's very interesting. This book is, the name is Heimat, eine Gehirnserfahrung. In this book, it's written like this. If you ask somebody where his hometown or his home is, they are used to know they are used to ask where you were born. Actually, the place where you were born is just the opposite of home. Why? A child came to the world, that means he lost his home. He lost the warming part inside the mom. We have to take the child away from this warming place. And a newborn baby or child is actually homeless. He lost his belonging. He lost the feeling. And he tried to use the whole power in his whole life, searching for new belongings. And this was quite touching. I couldn't realize this. That's also a kind of how to say that, a kind of feeling. It's also lies in me inside. This I didn't realize. And you've seen that in the film at the very beginning. There's a short animation. That's in a paper cut. And then this animation, the idea of this childhood story just came 1 month before the end of the film. That means, and at that time I said, no, it has to be an animation. It has to be a story about the childhood, and it has to be in the style of paper cut. And you know why it's paper cutting?
No.
Actually, I think if you are drawing a painting, or you just, if you did something wrong or dislike it, you can repaint it. You can just give some other color, some other forms. You can redo it. You can color it. But for paper cut, you use a scissor, you cut your paper. If you did something wrong or something you dislike, you cannot change it. You can no longer change it. You have to go further, just like your life. For me, it's a symbol of the way we are living. We have to stay at the point what we began, the place where we began, and go further. It doesn't matter if you like or not. It happened, and you have to go further. And then that's why I said, yeah, it has to be this part, the animation. But the main idea of this is actually there are one sentence I really want to share with the people. And all what she wanted was to belong. All what she wanted was not to be different. And what happened for me as a child, this kind of feeling, I'm just like an outsider. You are an outsider of a group. You are an outsider of a society. You are just a spectator. You looked, you cannot go further. And this made me very sad. That's why I said, no, I will never have, I don't want to have this feeling in my life. And then my mom told me later on, I myself, I didn't remember this. She told me that I could even play with all the children nearby, and really, I just want to be part of them. But at the end, you don't even remember their names. And then this is a kind of feeling, this also keeps in me. Also, it becomes also later a barrier for me, I think. But nowadays, when I think it back, for me, the kind of belonging and to be participate, the change of the role, it will only start when you start changing here inside, changing here your mind. Only this is could happen. Otherwise, it won't work. If you do not change, if you think, oh, I'm look different like others. How about my language, everything? I could never speak like a Swiss people, like what they are speaking. All this I don't want to have. Nobody will think I'm a Swiss. Everybody think you are Chinese or you are from Asia. From your appearance, you are different. You cannot change this. But what's quite interesting is at the end of the post-production, after this quite uncomfortable period, I realized one thing. That's only when you, in yourself, if you are no longer thinking different, then you are no longer different. You won't be any more different from the others. And that's really also quite interesting. Before, I think I will never live in another country because due to the appearance, language, whatever. But nowadays, all these barriers are no longer important for me. It's no longer barriers.
That's wonderful to think about for this world that we live in that's very globalized and where people are moving around for various reasons to different countries, to have that sort of idea that it's from your mindset, that really helps you approach a different culture. And I wanted to ask about, specifically going back to Appenzell, the idea that the people you encounter, some of them in the film have lived as they would have 100 years ago, and it's a traditional lifestyle and a traditional place, but progress is important to any society. And so how do you reconcile the tradition with the need for progress?
I think tradition and progress, they can live together. Tradition will only go on living when there are people who are taking care of them, who have lots of hard blood, and then like what happened in the Appenzeller land, I think there the tradition, here we are not a museum, they are the living tradition. The people are living there. And you see, there are some of them, for example, the Sylvester Cloise, the headwear, what they are wearing. And then they need over 1,000 hours to finish one. And this kind of hard blood you could feel from the people. And there are people, they are maybe everywhere in the world, but at this day, they come back home. At this day, they stay here. It's really also a kind of feeling. And then nowadays, you see, if you see the hat, it's changing. It's changed a lot. From the themes they are using, it could be everything. For example, even I do not know. Maybe next year or a year later, there might be also something about Corona about this time. Could be a topic over the head. And that's the people they are trying to do. The people are telling with their head, they are telling the stories, they are telling about their way of living, they are telling about what happened recently. And those are, for me, those are kind of innovation. If tradition, you use tradition, keep it, that's our roots. You should never forget it. And then the tradition, if we could meet innovation, I think progress is happening.
Wonderful. Well, I have one more question for you, and then hopefully we'll have some questions from the audience. You say at the end of the film that your story does not end here, and I'm curious about what you're working on now, and if you have another film project on the horizon that we can look forward to.
Actually, in the film, the end sentence, it has a double meaning. That's my story. It's a story that not ends here. Actually, it means for me, it's just the beginning. Just the beginning of the way of going, the way of living. Before, I was just like a passive receiver. What happened outside, I try to film, try to feel it. And then later I said, yeah, I should be active, in another way, in an active way. This is you are more how to say boost, or you know what's going on, and you are ready to go further. You are ready to choose a new way, not a new way, but to go on. And actually, there are two projects I'm thinking, because I have a profession. I'm a curator, and then we are making every year exhibition that's in the middle of Zurich, Haus Appenzell. I have to say, actually, thanks to the job, what I'm doing, I could find the feeling of home or hometown. This is also very important. And then aside this, I'm also happy I do not need to try to look for something, to look for a topic, to look for something to film. You only do it when you have something to say. At the moment, there are two ideas. One is about Swiss dialect. It was so fascinating. Before I was thinking a language is just a use for communication. You communicate with people, and why should we make it so complicated? But actually, a language, just like a tradition, especially the dialect, just like a kind of identification for the people. Like also you see in the film, I'm telling at that time, it's a circle connected the people. And in the circle, you have the inner part, you have the outsider. And then the dialect in a certain way for the local people, just like a circle, just like a kind of identification. To talk with each other, they are proud of that. And this is quite interesting. And for me, I could understand Swiss German very well. Even up until in country dialect or Wallis. No, actually, I could understand there very well. But to speak is very difficult for me, because at the moment I still have a software problem. I do not know what kind of dialect I should learn. If I should learn outer country dialect or inner country dialect,
Right.
as I'm working in Zurich or Zurich dialect, no, I have to make a choice. Now that is one thing, and I think behind the story, also for the migration, is a big topic for the migration. And also I met some people, they are quite sensitive. I think most people, lots of people who are having migration background, they are quite sensitive. Just like me at the beginning. And then this could also be something, this could have a reflection of our society. And the second thing is about the role of living, the role of our life. What kind of role you are playing in your life, how important it is. And then how are you going to handle? You are a daughter, and then you are a child also, and you maybe one day you are mother, and you are a friend. Maybe you are you are how to say that, a colleague. You have different roles in the society. How this really happened, how it is. This is for me very important, very interesting. And you see, the idea, it came actually from a book, the first German book I read. Yeah, and this book is called Der kleine Dezember, Der kleine König Dezember, things like that. The small king December, and then the king December is just like is so big, like your thumb. And he said to the author, he said that, yeah, you see, in our world, we are growing to be a adult, we were born to be an adult. And then since the time we were here, we already had everything. We had our knowledge. We can do everything. We have our memory. and then we have our ability, we can go further. And then later they will become smaller and smaller and smaller. And they forget the things. One day they will be so tiny and they lie on the bed somewhere and people can no longer find them. And then life's over. But in our world, in our human beings world, we are just like we are adult. We were born to be a child. And then we have to learn so many things. We have to learn language. We have to learn about the world. And then later we have to choose our profession. We have to go the way further. And people are telling us, if you want to have success, if you want to be successful, you have to go this way. You have to make your choice, go to a direction and go further. But is that a certain way your world is becoming smaller and smaller?
Right.
This is also a way of thinking which is quite interesting, I think.
Well, we'll keep our eyes out for your next project. That all sounds really interesting. And we have just a few minutes left, and I see we have one question from Andy, who asks if, in hindsight, you would recommend to your younger self to lay down your camera a bit earlier in order to step out of your comfort zone sooner.
Yeah, comfort zone. This is that's really a very, very good way of expressing. I think everybody we have, it could be, might be, we have a comfort zone, and then we are used to have things, and you are used to your life. You have your habit, and due to this, our life is just formed like this, and you go further. Sometimes we are afraid of change, I think. That's also a way of thinking. Also for me, for people, I think that's the biggest, one of the nicest present you can give yourself. Maybe to have an experience to live in another country. That's what happened to me. And then what's very important is that you should have the courage as soon as earlier. Try to put yourself to the 0 point, and then try to not to judge or not to think, to live with your head, but try to feel and try to hear, try to listen, try to see just like a child, and then try to feel in your heart. This is very, very important. And I think nowadays I would say it doesn't matter what happened or what's going to happen. What's very important is that try to be, that's what I'm doing, to be thankful, to be open, to be curious about the world, and try to be flexible and try to stay.
Wonderful. Thank you. We have another question from Michael, who says, a wonderful film made me laugh and cry. I'm German and have far greater difficulty to understand Swiss German than you do, despite the fact that one of my best friends lives in Zurich. Was it hard to learn the dialect, and how long did it take?
It's how long did it take? This I cannot say. I think a language, sometimes it takes your whole life to learn a language. But the language accompanies your way of living. You cannot separate them. We are human beings. We have to communicate. And the communicate is so important also for the life, right? Lots of misunderstanding due to the language. If you do not understand the language, if you do not speak the local language, it will be very difficult. That's why for me, I'm still learning also German and also Swiss German. That's a big target for me. Yeah, really.
Wonderful. Well, I don't see any more questions, but thank you so much. Oh, I have actually one more. These questions around what is home have been so thought-provoking. Our family is bilingual and somewhat bicultural, and I often have this feeling of not really fitting in either, and yet having both is a blessing and enrichment. So that's good to hear that this message resonates with other people. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's really very nice to see this. That's quite interesting. Uh, I knew some people, also some Chinese, and they are telling me, yeah, if they are at home, if they want to discuss a serious problem or whatever, they have to talk both in English because they are fair. Both are speaking a foreign language. But I think for life, fair is never, you can never find the real fair. It depends on how you think about it. And to live in another country, to have a bilingual background, I think, how to say, it's just like what I can say, it's just like a kind of feeling. For example, I'm having water, or before I came to Switzerland, I already have Chinese tea in this glass. And then what happened if I want to try to taste the Appenzeller beer or Appenzeller Alpenbitter? Is a kind of herbal alcohol. And if I mix them together, what's going to happen? I will never have the pure experience, the pure taste. The only way it will work that you try to pour it out aside, put it aside, and then use an empty glass. Only with this, you can really feel the origin of their culture, of the life there. And I think this is quite important. You won't lose your own things, but you will be enriched with both. That's for me. That's a way of going, I think.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Yuhao, for taking the time to answer our questions and for sharing your beautiful story and film with us. And on behalf of the Embassy of Switzerland in the United States, I want to thank all of you for participating in this month's film club, viewing the film and participating in this discussion. We're already planning for the next month's installment, so please stay tuned to our social media channels at Swiss Embassy USA and our newsletter for more information. And I wish you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.